This is the Life of Jade podcast with your host, Jade Sambrook. For more on the Life of Jade, please visit jadesambrook.com.
Alrighty, welcome to episode number 8 of the Life of Jade podcast. I'm your host, Jade Sambrook, and let's get right into it. So in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about changes to my podcast. I'm going to be talking about why I decided to start podcasting again. And finally, I'm going to go over a couple free podcasting apps that are simple and easy to use should you be interested in starting your very own podcast. Now, before I start talking about those subjects, I do want to mention that I'm using a new app for the very first time called Repurpose. And what Repurpose does is that it allows you to share your podcast episode on either Facebook or YouTube. So some of you who are listening right now, you may actually be listening on Facebook or YouTube, and that is thanks to the Repurpose app. It basically takes the audio from your podcast and turns it into a nifty little video so that it's both eye-catching and engaging, and you can put that up on either Facebook or YouTube. And the way that I learned about this app is that the designer, Hani Mura, who is from Toronto, Canada, and so I'm very happy to be supporting a fellow Canadian, he had also designed a WordPress plugin called Simple Social Press. And what this plugin allows you to do is to share your Facebook Live videos along with all the likes and comments onto your WordPress blog. Because as it stands, if you're just to natively share your Facebook Live video onto your WordPress blog, it's not going to bring all those likes and comments with it. However, by using the Simple Social Press plugin, it brings all those likes and comments, and it's just great for SEO, for search engine optimization, because then Google sees your blog post as having a lot of comments, a lot of engagement and interaction, and that's just really good for SEO. Another plugin that Hani made is called Simple Video Press, and this allows you to share your YouTube videos onto your WordPress blog. Now, with both of these plugins, Simple Social Press and Simple Video Press, you can either set it to manual or automatic. So if it's on manual, you have to physically go into your WordPress dashboard and decide which videos you want to share onto your blog. However, if it's automatic, well, I'm sure you understand the concept. It will automatically share your videos. So for example, your Facebook Live videos, anytime you do a Facebook Live, it will automatically post it onto your WordPress blog. And so these are really awesome plugins, really affordable, and I'm happy to be using them. And this is how I learned again about Repurpose. And so I'm trying it out for the first time. I'm on the free plan, which allows you to manually publish 4 full-length podcast episodes. So this is the first one. We'll see if I keep using it. And if I do, after 4, well, I'll have to upgrade to a paid plan. But for now, just trying it out, seeing how it works. And again, if you're listening on either Facebook or YouTube, well, it's thanks to this Repurpose app. All right, now regarding changes to my podcast. First of all, I have not done a podcast episode in ages. I think the last one goes back to November 2015 or something like that. And so it's been well over a year, actually almost going on 2 years now. And during that period, during those 2 years, there were times where I thought, hey, let's record another podcast episode. Let's get the podcast going again. And so I would start reading about podcasting and I would start listening to other podcasts about podcasting just so I could motivate myself and feel like I had enough knowledge about podcasting to get myself going again. And one of the things I learned is that the podcast art, or the podcast album cover, if you will, is very important. And what is important is that it not be black and white. And that is precisely what my podcast art was. And the reason for that is because all the podcast album covers are on iTunes. And so when people are scrolling through all these podcast and looking for one to download, when it's black and white, it doesn't really stand out. You need to use different colors. It's actually recommended that you kind of use the yellow-orange tones. And so that's what I did. I changed my podcast art because I learned that black and white was the wrong way to go. Another thing I learned is that it's not a good idea to just slap a photo of yourself onto your podcast album cover, because people don't know who you are. I mean, unless you're really famous or something, people don't know who you are. And so when they're, again, scrolling through iTunes, looking for a podcast to download, and all they see is a face of some guy they don't know, well, it's not very enticing. It's not going to actually motivate them to download your podcast. So the changes I made is I still put my face up in a certain sense, but I used a caricature drawing. I used like a cartoon drawing, so it's not an actual picture of me. So it makes it a little more interesting, a little more colorful. And I chose some colors to kind of go with my branding, notably gold. So, that's a little more colorful, stands out. It's not just black and white as it was previously. The second change that I made is the microphone that I am now using. And so before, I would record my podcast using a simple karaoke microphone that I had picked up years ago. And this was plugged into my Yamaha mixing board and then into my computer. Now, it's still pretty much the same setup, but the only thing that's changed is the microphone. I'm now using a Shure SM7B. And for those of you who don't know, that is the model of microphone that Michael Jackson used to record the vocals for the best-selling album of all time, Thriller. And so it's a very famous mic. It's a very popular mic. It's used by very many broadcasters and radio stations and podcasters alike. And it's a microphone that I dreamt of having one day. And if you believe, you will make those dreams happen. And I ended up getting myself the Shure SM7B. And so that's what I'm using now to record my podcast. The other change to my podcast is the intro music. And so originally I had found a royalty-free song on Audio Jungle, if I'm not mistaken, and you basically buy a license for a royalty-free song, and this license basically gives you one-time use of the song in one end product. But Audio Jungle considers a series. So for example, a podcast or a TV show that would span over many episodes, they consider a series to be a one-time use. They consider it a one-end product. However, they stipulate that that license is only valid for 1 year when you're using it with a series, and then you have to renew. So I went to renew my license, and unfortunately the creator of this song has removed himself from Audio Jungle, so the file is no longer available and I couldn't renew. So I had to go looking for new podcast intro music, and so far I haven't really found anything that pleases me as much as what I had originally, because it was just perfect. It wasn't too loud, it didn't drown my voice out, it was a news-based song, so it was very fitting for a podcast. I haven't found anything really yet that pleases me, so the intro music has changed. And so here's one little thing I'll mention, and one thing I've learned throughout all this is that it's maybe a better idea to find royalty-free music from sites like Audio Hero, for example, or Audio Blocks, where you get a lifetime license for the song. So even if the creator moves on or you don't renew your subscription with that site, you still have the lifetime rights to the song. The problem with Audio Jungle is that it was a 1-year license that needed to be renewed. And like I say, the song's no longer there. So I'm stuck in a bind now. And so that might be something you want to avoid if you yourself are shopping around for royalty-free music, is try to find something that you know you're going to be able to use for the rest of your life, no questions asked. Okay, so why did I decide to start podcasting again? And I guess I have to ask myself why I started podcasting in the first place. And so for those of you who know me well, you know that I like to try out every single social media app in existence. And it was no different with podcasting. I thought I would try it out. I would see where it goes and learn something new. And so I started podcasting. Now, interestingly, there are statistics that show that most people who start a podcast don't go beyond episode 7. And lo and behold, my last episode from 2 years ago in November 2015 is episode number 7. And if I remember correctly, in that episode, I was talking about how happy I was to be at that threshold, if you will, that I only needed to do one more episode and that I would be beating the statistics, that I would be moving on, the road open ahead of me to continue podcasting and not be stuck at episode 7. And I guess the statistics are pretty right. They're pretty correct because my last episode, number 7, it's been 2 years. And had I not done an episode today, I would be stuck there just like the statistics say. So I'm happy to be starting up again. I'm happy to be at episode number 8. And hopefully this time I can continue moving forward and being consistent. And so what got me interested in podcasting again is that this summer I was traveling both Vietnam and Japan, and I was sitting in a park in Japan staring at my iPhone screen with Facebook open. And sometimes when Facebook updates or adds new features, they will show you those new features. They'll kind of highlight those new features. And if I recall correctly, Facebook was showing me that there was something new with live video. And when I followed the prompt or followed the highlight, it was showing me that I could now do what is known as Facebook Live audio. And so it's kind of like live video, but it's audio only. And what's great about this, some of you may be asking, well, why would I ever want to do Facebook Live audio if I can do video? Well, first of all, some people might not always want to show their face on camera. And secondly, live audio, just like podcasting, is great for the listener because it allows them to just multitask or to do other things while they're listening. You can be walking down the sidewalk with a pair of headphones on or earbuds in your ears and listening to Facebook Live audio or to a podcast, whereas the video format, it demands a little more from you. You have to sit in front of a screen and watch generally. And so that's why audio is just such a great medium for engaging and communicating with your audience. And so I saw this new feature in Japan and I thought, you know what? The minute I get back to Canada from my travels, I'm going to try out this Facebook Live audio. And I actually started watching YouTube videos when I had time in the evenings on how to use Facebook Live audio and reviews and how other people were using it. And I got really excited. Like I say, the minute I was to set foot in Canada back home, I would try out Facebook Live audio. And of course, Facebook seems to roll things out country by country, and Canada always seems to be last. So by the time I got back to Canada, well, Facebook updated again. And I don't know if it's just because of the update or again, if it's because I'm no longer in Japan, but the feature is not available in Canada. It's no longer available on my phone. And I'm really disappointed I can't do a Facebook Live audio for the time being. But it got me interested in doing audio. It got me interested in podcasting again. And so I thought, what avenues do I have that would be like Facebook Live audio? Well, there is an app on my iPhone that I was kind of using sporadically called Anchor.fm. And that's where I'm going to get into the next thing I want to talk about, which is a couple of the free and easy to use podcasting services. One of those is Anchor.fm. So it's an app on your iPhone. I don't know about Android because I don't have an Android, but it's an app on your iPhone and you can record 5-minute segments. Now you can record many segments and you can add little, stingers, I guess we'll call them, or radio drops, so little sound effects in between your audio episodes or audio segments. You can receive call-ins, so people can call into your station, other Anchor users. You can even dial a phone number and interview somebody over the phone and add that into your audio segment. And you can even play music from either Spotify or your iTunes library. And so it's like having your own radio station. Now, they used to call it the Snapchat of audio because your audio segments and everything you'd record would only stay there for 24 hours and then they'd get archived and only you could listen to the archives. Nobody else could. What they've done now is they allow you to take everything that you record and turn it into what's known as an episode. And those stay there forever for people on Anchor to listen to. And the episodes include the music from iTunes or from Spotify. However, if you share your Anchor segment or your Anchor episode onto Facebook or onto another social media platform, it will not include the music because then it's the whole issue of copyright and all that stuff. But this is a great, free, and easy way to podcast and engage with an audience because, like I say, other users can call into your station. And it even goes further. You can turn your episodes into actual podcasts, and the Anchor app will take care of everything of, getting it submitted to Apple iTunes and getting it uploaded and all that kind of fun, funky stuff. And so really easy, free. And if you want to do a podcast, well, you can use Anchor.fm. Another free app, and they also have paid versions or paid plans, is Spreaker. Now, I haven't actually tried it yet. I'm about to try it. And Spreaker with the free plan allows you to upload 5 hours of audio, and then you have to kind of start deleting old stuff to be able to continue adding. That's the free plan. If you go up to the next plan, I think it's 100 hours, and the plans they get more expensive, but you get more hours. There's also a time limit on the recordings. So like Anchor, like I was saying, it's 5 minutes per segment, while the free plan with Spreaker is 15 minutes per segment. Now you can go and record a segment as many times as you want per day, but they're limited to 15 minutes per segment. And the more you pay, the more you upgrade your plan, while the more time you get. So for example, I think the pro plan right above the free plan, you can get 45 minutes per segment. The other good thing about Spreaker is that you can go live. So a lot like Facebook Live Audio, you can broadcast live to your audience, and there's a chat feature so they can send you a message and you can engage and respond to their questions. So that is a great way to podcast or to try out live style radio. And those are two apps that I recommend, at least the free side of things. Anchor is always free, but the free version of Spreaker, if you are wanting to try podcasting, but you're not too sure, because right now what I'm using is Libsyn, and Libsyn is a podcast hosting service, and I think I pay roughly $10 a month. It gives me, I think, only 50 megabytes of upload space, and I think generally a podcast episode, about 20 minutes, is roughly 30 megabytes. So that doesn't even really allow me to do 2 podcasts per month. And then the next plan after that is $20 a month, and it goes up and up. The good thing about Libsyn is that once your podcast is uploaded onto their hosting servers, it's there forever. There's no limits like Spreaker with the amount of hours and that kind of stuff. Same for Anchor. I mean, if you go the route with the free Anchor app and go the podcast episode route where they're sending it to iTunes, it will stay there forever. The only thing, though, I think, is that Anchor does include a few ads in maybe the beginning or the end of your podcast. So if you want an ad-free podcast, then you end up having to pay for your own hosting service like I'm doing with Libsyn. But those are a couple free options, and give those a try if you're interested in getting a podcast going. And so that's it for today, you guys. That is the podcast episode number 8. I hope you enjoyed this show, whether you're listening on iTunes or Stitcher, or whether you're watching the video version of this audio file on Facebook or YouTube through the Repurpose app. And if you have any questions or comments, well, you can leave those wherever you do in the respective place that you are. So if you're on Facebook, well, the comment section below. If you're on YouTube, the comment section below. And if you're on iTunes, I'm not even sure, but just be sure to hit that subscribe button. And I want to thank you all for listening. And until the next episode, which I think I'm going to be talking about the equipment that I use for making my YouTube videos. That is going to be the subject of my next podcast. So alrighty, I hope you're all doing well and that you keep doing well, and we will talk to you guys next time. This is Jade Sambrook for the Life of Jade podcast, signing off.